Hi, this is Scott from Digital Fish with content that catches and a how-to on stray lining from the rocks. Stray lining usually implies tying a leader and hook to your line with a juicy bait and casting out into an area likely to hold fish or attract fish. Rocky habitats with kelp, current and some depth nearby are good locations to stray line a bait for species like snapper, trevally, kahawai and kingfish. Unless there is a heavy swell, I never use a sinker as it can quickly snag and a floating bait looks more natural. Here I am fishing a rock stack in the far north, which has lots of premium locations. Coromandel, Great Barrier Island and the west coast also have amazing habitats to catch good fish at your feet, although there are lots of places in between that can turn up good fish if you put in the effort. Choosing a location is the first step, either by boat or walking in. Here we are assessing a rocky point and looking for the best spot to land safely. Rocky points will most likely have some current and deeper water nearby. Match that up with some kelp beds and you've probably got a winner. For the setup, I like to use 15 kilo mono in places with rough terrain and a 1 to 2 meter leader of 60 pound tough trace. Good knots are essential. I tie a double or loop knot in my main line with a bimini twist. The bimini twist takes a bit of practice but is very strong. I then attach the leader to the loop with an Albright knot. The Albright knot is also a strong knot and you can almost get 100% strength from this combination. Heavy leaders are important when fishing in the rocks, as fish like this snapper will continually dive amongst the kelp and rocks and scrape your line in the process. In some rock places like the inner HAURAKI Gulf, I may go down to 30 pound leader, or if the fish are shy, I'm tying a uni knot here onto a 7-bar suicide hook. Uni or clinch knots are good knots for tying hooks onto your leader. Don't use hooks smaller than 7-bar, as small snapper will easily swallow a smaller hook and get gut hooked. Gut hooked snapper usually die when released. Circle hooks are also effective. With either hook style, fish actively so you can prevent small fish from swallowing the bait. It can be a good idea to wet the line before carefully pulling it tight to reduce friction and help the knot bed down onto your hook. Cut the tag off, but not too close, because if it slips a little bit during the fight you will lose your fish. Next is the berley. I like to put a berley bomb in an onion bag and tie a milk bottle onto the rope so it floats and can be set 10 to 20 meters off the rocks. Put some holes in the bomb first. A slow steady stream of berley is best so it can leach into the surrounding area and be carried further by the current. It is usually a matter of time before fish start to smell your berley and congregate around the bag. Here you can see mau, juvenile trevally and snapper starting to get into a feeding frenzy. Keep watching the berley trail to see if larger fish are lurking around the edges. Polaroid sunglasses are essential as they cut down the glare and help you see more action below the surface. The small fish will turn up first and the bigger ones will eventually come round too. Oily fish with lots of blood like the skipjack tuna are good baits. Pilchards of course are good as well, either fished whole or cut. When you cast your bait, don't cast too far from the berley bag, as this is what is attracting the fish to your area and where the fish will be likely hanging around. Here's a pilchard bait. You'll notice two things. First, it doesn't last very long, and second, the small fish get to it first. Eventually, a bigger snapper comes in for a bite. Using tough baits like kahawai or squid can also be good if you are continually plagued by smaller fish. Don't get frustrated if you continually lose your bait, as the small fish feeding will help attract bigger fish and eventually the big one will come in and grab the bait. Here's some snapper feeding and a juvenile kingfish comes in for a look. Small kingfish will sometimes follow a struggling fish on your line or cruise through the berley trail. They will take a bait and give you a good fight, but make sure they are of legal size if you want to keep them. Snapper are the main target for a lot of people stray lining off the rocks and aren't too difficult to catch if you get the ingredients right of location, berley and perseverance. The other important consideration is safety. The swell here is gentle, but don't take risks on the rocks. Too many people die every year fishing off the rocks. The other common species is kahawai. They are great fighters and when freshly caught, taste pretty good. Some people treat them as a nuisance, but they deserve to be carefully released if unwanted, not kicked down the rocks because they're not a snapper. There's plenty of other species living and around the reef like this kelpfish. They will often steal your bait and fight a bit like a snapper if you hook them. Average eating, best to throw them back. Be careful though, as they have nasty spines down their back and require a bit of care when handling. Here's a tip for when you get snagged. Don't try and snap the line by pulling back on the rod. Instead, walk to the left and give it a tug. If that doesn't work, then walk to the right and see if the change in angle will help release your hook. If that doesn't work and you have to break the line, then wrap the line around your arm or a rag and gently walk backwards, pointing the rod at the snag until something gives. Straylining off the rocks is a lot of fun and is one of my favourite forms of fishing. There are lots of places that hold fish, you just have to put in the time to find the best places and the best conditions. Respect the fishery and don't leave your rubbish behind. I'll be doing more how-tos shortly on fishing off the rocks. This is Scott from Digital Fish with content that catches.